Social media is full of why I quit my job stories. And for some reason, I just never thought to share mine, probably because it feels super personal and vulnerable. And that can kind of be a challenge for me to share on camera. Right before I quit my job, I was crying real tears in my boss's office. I mean, boo-hoo crying. And to be honest, it was both mortifying and gratifying at the same time. And I'll tell you why in just a second. Hello, beautiful people. It is me, Tasha K with Gotta Say. And if you are new to the channel, welcome. And if you are returning, hey, thank you for joining me again. This is the place to be if you want to take control of your finances. If you're trying to hit that first 1K, 10K, 100K, and beyond, this is the place for you. Today, I am going to be sharing for the very first time why I quit my job in corporate America and what I regret about that decision. All right. I remember it like it was yesterday. The process began before I even realized it. I would say that it started over a 3-week period where I started to get the realization like, okay, I don't want to be here. But I think if I'm being honest, it was much longer than that. But I remember one of my work besties was leaving to start her own business. And we had a little coffee chat, and she asked me the question, could you see yourself leaving this job to start your own business? And I told her 3 months before I quit my job, absolutely not. Like, that is not happening. I couldn't even fathom it just 3 months before it happened. As an analyst, my job was to make sure that the company had the right product in the right amounts at the right place. And it might sound easy because they just put it in the 3 Ps, but it's definitely a lot harder than it sounds. And that process for me was super enjoyable sometimes. Like, I ain't gonna lie, I had very good experiences in corporate America. But it was also a place where I felt like I couldn't be myself. I couldn't show up to work as myself. I felt like I had to put on what I like to call white face, where I was acting like a different version of me. And then when I would try to escape for lunch, I got this award called Most Likely to Eat Home at Lunch. And you already know what time it is when you start getting those types of awards. That means bring your to the lunch table and talk to us, be social, network, make friends. And so that's exactly what I did. But to be honest, in retrospect, this is probably one of the things that I regret. I probably should have took that time for myself while I was at home watching my wife and kids getting grounded back into the me that I know is me so that I could show up as my most powerful self. But that's not a part of what I wanted to share with you today. I really want to get into some of the biggest regrets that I have around quitting my job in corporate America. And this is just the beginning. So, while I was working in corporate America, there were times where I would romanticize getting hit by a car or getting flat out shot in the street, okay? And I would be thinking, wow, what if I got hit by a car? I would probably have to go to the hospital. And if I went to the hospital, I probably wouldn't have to go to work, right? And I said, Tasha, that is not normal. It is not normal to be thinking about violent ways for you to miss work. That's probably a sign that something is wrong. I would show up to work and I would walk with my notebook in hand, and in the front of my notebook, I had scriptures that would help me maintain some sort of peace of mind throughout my day because it was deteriorating fast. And one of the biggest things that I regret about quitting my job in corporate America is not using my voice more powerfully. And every time I didn't use my voice, I was shrinking myself. And as I shrunk myself, guess what happened? My performance actually started to suffer. So what started out as something that was never a performance issue for me actually turned into a performance issue because I wasn't brave enough to use my voice and push back when people were saying things about me that were not true. So let me give you the rundown. I was in charge of a particular category, and the factory for that particular category was in Thailand or Malaysia or something like that. And there was a tsunami, some type of water event, right? And it literally destroyed the factory. And guess what? If there is no factory, there is no product. And the company wanted me to call my vendors and try to get products from other companies. Product that they had already allocated to other companies. Now I'm on the phone with them asking for it, letting them know that their contract is at risk. I need to be the priority for this product. And I did that. And I got some extra product. And it was wonderful. And I got the pat on the back. And it was great until product actually ran out. There are no factories. There is no production. And people wanted me to be they wanted me to care about this. But what you gotta know is if there is one black headphone on the shelf, I'm not about to get stressed out because there's not another brand of black headphone on the shelf. People have lost their lives, families have been displaced, and you want me to act like this one particular product that is not even that important in the grand scheme of things, you want me to act like that is important, and I can't do that. And instead of saying that flat out, I kept saying, okay, I'll try to figure this out. Okay, I'll try to figure this out. I'll wave a magic wand and make the factories magically start working. And so I feel like I let myself down because I didn't use my voice, and that is a huge part of what had me quit my job. Of course, I was looking to say, like, I'm not valued here. And I would be much more valued if I was doing my own thing because there are so many things that I'm capable of. But I would have been more confident if I didn't let people push me out. But if I was able to really speak my truth and coach upwards and say, listen, this is the problem, and we can either face this problem head on, but what we're not gonna do is continue to blame me for something that is outside of my control. So if you are in a situation at work where you feel miserable and you feel like the stuff is rolling downhill and you are at the bottom of the hill, I want you to stand up tall, take a deep breath, figure out who you need to talk to, and go say what it is that you need to say in that professional way, but in that we're not going to continue to go back and forth. This is what it is. We need to make these changes, and if not, please stop bringing this same issue to me. Number two, I regret accepting the blame. When people were, I thought it was accountability. I'm a person who believes in radical accountability. And if this is my segment, and if this thing is not performing, and if we don't have product, then at the end of the day, I was standing on that, figuring out what is it that I need to do. But I was accepting the blame, but I wasn't looking for the right partners. Number one, it wasn't my issue to take the blame for, but what I could have been doing was looking for the right partners who would help me solve the problem. So I thought that I was being this martyr by taking the blame and just trying to let it roll off me. Well, it wasn't rolling off me, but also it wasn't beneficial to just take the blame and try to find a solution myself. I wasn't even in a position to do that. I should have been looking for partners, but I didn't feel empowered to do that because like Black women often do. We feel like we have to do it alone. And that is something that I regret. Number 3, you probably wouldn't see this one coming, but I also regret not appreciating the connections that I had at the time. It is absolutely true that I needed my break. I should have took my break every day while I was working in corporate America for myself, by myself, to get grounded with myself. But I think that would have given me the space to show up as my authentic self and truly make connections with the people around me. If I'm being honest, I feel like most of the time I never even got to be my true self. And sometimes I could see people reacting to me in certain ways. One time I tried to tell a joke about Dollar Tree, landed flat. They're like, what is that? What is Dollar Tree? I bet you those same people are probably shopping at Dollar Tree today. But nevertheless, the joke fell flat. And I'm just like, oh, it made me feel some type of way. It made me feel something about myself. It impacted how I showed up, and it got in the way of me being my authentic self. And if I'm being honest, I regret that. I regret not being who I truly am and not making connections with the people around me from that authentic place. And if I had to do it over again, that is what I would do. There are so many great people that I met, so many relationships that I made that I never nurtured. And in some ways I wonder, do they even really know who I am? Okay. Number 4. I regret giving this job so much control over my mental health. When I tell you that I was deteriorating, I know people who were literally throwing up at their desks. That's how much we let these jobs get to me. I remember one day I was in church trying to get my praise and worship on, and I left church and went back to work because I couldn't think straight. Things were just weighing on me. It was just such a heavy burden. And like I said, I was trying to carry it by myself and not looking for the appropriate partners. And nobody was raising their hand saying, let me help you. So I'm leaving church on a Sunday to go to work, trying to prepare and make sure that when I get there on Monday, I'm in a better position. And my mental health was just in the gutter. Anytime you're thinking about getting hit by a car in a fond way, that lets you know that something is off. Like something is very, very off. And, having to read those scriptures every day. I mean, I was fasting. I was praying. Me and my friend, we were doing everything that we could to just try to find some peace inside of ourselves. And a few months ago, I was talking to one of my guy friends, and, he's working his job, and he's so unbothered about it. No matter what they say to him, he's like, okay, no problem. Okay, that's fine. Just completely unbothered. Do what you can do, and that's it. That's what he said. I focus on what I can do, and I let everything else go. I wish that I would have coached upward. I wish that I would have stood up for myself. I wish that I would have asked for the right partners. And I think that this would have gone a long way in helping me improve my mental health. But at the end of the day, even if all of those things faded away, I wish that no matter what happened, I never let it be that deep. It should have never been that deep. I don't own that company. Okay, that company don't love me. I should have never sacrificed my mind to that job. And I remember when things got at their worst, I walked into my boss's office, and he started trying to act like I couldn't do my job. And I knew that my performance had deteriorated, but I also knew that it was because of leadership not being accountable to things that they were actually responsible for, and me trying to take on accountability for it when it was never my purview in the first place. And so I told this man, I said, do you know who I am? Crying, like full blown tears. I am LaTasha Kinnard. You will never, ever act like I am an underperformer. That was never the case. This was never an issue about my performance. This was an issue about something that happened overseas that I had no control over and didn't know how to rectify the issue. And that maybe I didn't go about it the right way, but neither did you. So you are definitely not, I'm grateful that I never let myself believe that I was who they tried to make me think I was, because it was never that. And I remember I walked out of his office, went to the bathroom, dried my eyes, and I hadn't even decided that I was gonna quit yet. That happened in a moment. It was like I had received a download from heaven, and it was just like, in 2 weeks, you're no longer going to be here. You're going to start your own business. You're going to do this. I felt like I had genuinely heard the voice of God. It was just like that in an instant. And that's when I started my departure. I am grateful that I bet on myself. I'm grateful that I believed in myself enough to not let that job break me down to the ground. But I absolutely regret that I don't have all of the foresight that I have now, or the hindsight. And I regret that I let the bad times foreshadow or overshadow the good times. And what I would say to you, if you are in a position where you feel like you just not feeling the job that you're in, you're not feeling the career that you're in, I want you to make sure that you are feeling whatever you're feeling on your own terms, that you're doing whatever you're doing on your own terms, and you are not at the effect of the circumstances that are happening around you or being impacted by who people are trying to make you believe that you are. You are strong, you are smart, you are powerful, you are hired for a reason, you have what it takes to do the job. But ask for the support when you need it. Coach upward and downward if necessary, powerfully. Say what you have to say and don't shrink yourself. I believe that when you do these things, you will allow your career and your future to be created from who you really are and not from who you are minimizing yourself to be. And with that being said, I want you to remember that you are not helpless, you are not hopeless, and you are not powerless. In fact, you are powerful beyond measure. If you have enjoyed this video, I recommend that you watch our Money Habits Are Keeping You Poor video. I love this video in particular because we all have a couple of habits that are causing us to live below our financial potential. So if you want to live to your fullest financial potential and avoid these mistakes, then this is the video for you. Thank you guys so much. Gotta stay.